Hey everyone, this is Chris and Sandy Bit with the Chris and Sandy Show. We get up close and personal with some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today, as I say on every episode, we got a great one for you. Who do we have?
We have legendary actor and director Greg Daniel from HBO's True Blood and Insecure. He has an upcoming feature film, Seventh and Union, that focuses on racial tensions between communities in Los Angeles.
And we're excited to talk a little bit about everything that he's involved in and just see where this goes.
Oh, that's
So,
kind of
Greg, welcome to
kind
the show.
Welcome.
nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Every time I hear the legendary Greg, I keep thinking, does this mean it's the end of my career, or does this mean I'm always that legendary thing always feels like, okay, well, he's passed on now, but he was legendary. Now I'm alive and kicking, folks. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
So, as you know, COVID has affected everybody.
Yes.
And I think in California it's affected more because of the shutdown.
Right.
We shut down last year.
But in entertainment industry, it's really just crushed it for last year.
Yes, that's right.
So how has it affected you because you're in the middle of entertainment? And what have you done to kind of maneuver through this crazy maze we have?
Well, part of the I'm blessed is that I teach. I do teach part-time. So I am at USC, University of Southern California. I did their School of Dramatic Arts. So we kept going even though we weren't on campus. We had to do it virtually. We had to do Zoom, which wasn't easy to teach advanced acting and stuff on, but that kept me busy. And, the kids I had always inspire me. These, when I say kids, I mean graduate students, but to me, they're kids, but they always inspire me. So that kept me going. But, also what it did, not just the school, but life changed in a way that made me appreciate things. I have to say out of it, because I had more time with my family. I mean, we never sit down together and eat. One eats at 6, the other eats at 7, the other, we're madhouse running around. But we actually had meals together like every night and did things together in a way that we probably wouldn't have if COVID wasn't around, because we were forced to stay home and be, together. So, I gained this kind of sensitivity to things that I don't do because I always feel like we're so busy that it kind of, when you look at your priorities again, listen, first of all, I'm so sorry for the loss of life that happened over 2020.
Oh, yes.
It's devastating, those families. Let me say first that condolences, and it was just a crime that many people had to go.
It was.
So that's first and foremost that, because I was in a position where I didn't lose anyone. We weren't sick. We didn't lose anyone. So I can say this from sort of a on high, but I do feel for those individuals that did. But aside from that, what I did learn during COVID is to sort of, it may sound trivial, but, appreciate the little things, time with family. I even got in contact with some friends that I hadn't seen and stuff. Not because nothing ever broke us out. It wasn't like we had words. But, again, it's
life happens.
Life happens and you have children, you understand, and you're just too busy. So, I rekindled some friendships during that time by just dropping a little text or a note saying, hey, how you doing? How you guys making out? How you holding out? Everyone healthy? Everyone okay? And suddenly I'm speaking to people again. I sort of neglected. I also learned friendships have to be nurtured. You really do have to drop a line, give a call, all that. And it's not that hard. So
stop and smell the roses.
There you go. It pulled me back in a way that made me think, Greg, if you don't do this now, the world's not going to stop turning. It's okay to call this friend. It's okay to get in contact with this person. It's okay to sit down with their family, eat. The world is still going to turn whether you're pursuing your career or not. So that actually was actually a good lesson I learned during COVID. But it's nice now that the industry is really beginning to crawl back. I shot a movie last summer. It should be released in 2022, but it premiered about a week ago at a festival. So, I have a lot to be thankful for. I really don't have a lot to complain about, but it was a tough year. It was a tough year for a lot of people.
That's like for us, now granted, we have no deaths in the family from COVID. COVID did the opposite effect for us because we actually launched this show January of 2020. So a couple months before COVID.
Totally, because March was when we were in it. March was
March was when everything shut down.
So our original plan was maybe 100 interviews last year. And we thought, if we could do that, we would have a really good first year. And we thought that was pushing it, to be honest with you.
And now
100 interviews.
And how many interviews have you done?
Well, then COVID happens. And I told Sandy, I was like, as I watched everything get shut down, I was like, okay, this could be our game changer for our show.
Right.
So because people are like, you're going to need a place to talk.
Sure.
So I was like, you know what? We're going to just step out and go all the way. And because of that, we did over 300 interviews last year, and we're over 400 now.
That's amazing. But you see, you turn, it's like that was that trivial expression. If you have lemons, make lemonade. Well, you realize the situation you were in, and that we do need forums. I mean, people who act, direct, write, whatever, we do need forums to talk to our fans, to talk to people. So it was an inspired idea. I compliment you guys. It was an inspired idea. You did it just at the right time, because there was nothing happening
we owe COVID this show, because I'll be honest,
silver lining last year for us.
At the very beginning, our idea was for a lot of the smaller guests at the beginning, to start the show out. So when COVID happens, I told Sandy, I said, you know what? Bigger guests might be willing to come on a new show.
Sure.
Because of this. And so we just reached out. I mean, I reached out to people even like Blake Shelton and Brad Pitt. I mean, you name it. Every PR company probably almost hates us, because I email people every month for the same people. I'll keep on. Good. In fact, I can't say who yet, but one of the guests that we're going to have on probably either end of this month or next, I think they got tired of me emailing. And
that's happened a few times.
So then they were like, okay, we can give 10 minutes.
Yes.
So I'll take it. I'll take it.
But you did it. Yeah. Persistence pays, even in acting. It's funny, because of the students I told you I had. Persistence. Don't get into this business unless you have a lot of resiliency and tenacity. Because sometimes that will turn it on the 10th time, a 10th attempt or audition, you might get it. But you got to be persistent. You got to be tenacious, as you showed when you kept going after people that you wanted on your show. Isn't that kind of life, like persistence and tenacity? Isn't that kind of, if you really have a passion?
No matter what you do.
No matter what. You got to keep going. Exactly right. It goes across all fields. You have to continue to be focused on it and go after it. So congratulations.
Like I remember we had one guest that we were trying to get, and we kept emailing her PR people, and they were like, well, next 2 weeks she's fully booked. So what do you think I did 2 weeks from that point?
You ordered again, of course.
And then they's like, well, next 2 weeks fully booked. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, you don't go beyond 2 weeks. I can book it 3 months if you want. I'm thinking, but and then I think they got tired of it, and finally they emailed back saying, okay, we will email you if something pops open. I promise you, you'll be the first. And it was like 3 days later, they emailed me and said, well, a schedule did pop open. Here's the time slot.
Do it.
Can you do it? If not, we'll get somebody else.
Yeah.
So we had to actually move. What's funny is our 9-year-old little Chris had a dentist appointment. Now, not like it was an emergency one. It was we moved that to the following week so we could get that interview, because again, it was one of them things where that was the only slot we had.
That's right.
And we've learned that's what you got to do when you're in entertainment. Just like you, if you get a call tomorrow saying, be here, you better be there.
Yeah. Oh, and it happens just that way. Sometimes, I mean, the tough thing about my industry, among other things, is it's so mercurial. I mean, I could be here one day and I could be in a foreign country the next day, but that's how fast it turns around. It turns around pretty damn quickly. So you've got to be available, or else you're going to miss the chance. But that's kind of life. Again, opportunity knocks it sometimes, not when you want it to, but it's going to knock when it does. And either you'll be prepared to step through that door, or you're going to miss it altogether. So I've been very lucky in that. I've stepped through the door a lot of times.
Like they say, success is when opportunity and preparedness meet.
It is undoubtedly, because you can't predict the future. You can't predict COVID. You can't predict those things. Yet they come, and so what do? You make the best out of it, and hopefully you, by your persistence, you push through, and that's what it's all about.
So, how did you get into acting? Where did that? Take us back then to that moment.
I was in New York City. I was born and raised in New York City. My father was an immigrant from the West Indies. And at that time, his island was under British rule. I mean, before he came here, of course. And so, but we had volumes of Shakespeare hanging around, because that was one of the things they read, Shakespeare. So as a precocious young lad, I would read these plays. I had no idea what they meant. I had no idea. But something about the language, I would read it and say it. Something I really liked about the language. So skip ahead. By the time I saw a first classical play somewhere, I was mesmerized. Costumes, lights, the set, people moving around, talking, telling stories to each other. I thought, oh my God, I was stunned. This is the most fantastic thing. You mean you can do this? This is unbelievable. I believe that was really my first entrance into acting. Just language, loving language, loving how the sounds came out of their mouths and what they said, telling stories and getting people to invest in a story. Wow. And that started it. And being in a theater-rich city like New York, I mean, we had theater, Broadway, off-Broadway, off-Broadway. So I was always going and seeing other actors and pieces I liked and some I didn't like, but I was always learning. So that was a fertile ground for me to fall in love with acting. I stayed in New York. I trained in New York. And but I knew when I saw that production, that first production, I thought, this is something that's, I mean, who does this? Who's lucky enough to do this stuff? I mean, they were adults and they're wearing costumes and they've got makeup on and they're saying things and there's lights on them. I found the whole thing the most fascinating thing in my life. I don't know why I found it so fascinating. There was some gene in me that said, you're a performer. You need to go after that. And of course, it made my mom and dad uncomfortable because they were like, what, really? But you know, the thing I'll give my mom and dad, they never, ever spoke against it. They never tried to dissuade me. Yes, they were concerned. Well, how do you get a job? How do you have to keep getting jobs? That didn't compute for them. So after you do one, you have to get another one. It's like, yeah, but they never dissuaded me. If anything, they supported the fact that this was my passion. Wow. And I know it was challenging for them, not coming from major metropolitan city to see what this acting thing was about. And I kept on doing it. And I kept.
Now, when did it click that this could be a career for you? Was it that moment, or was it another moment where just you were like, "Wow, this is my life"?
Probably another moment. There's a lot of influences. I know one of my influences was, I don't know if you remember the actor Sidney Poitier, the African American actor Sidney Poitier. Well, seeing him, this gorgeous man, eloquent and I just wow. And then when I would see his features, his movies, and I thought, so that kind of told me that someone like me could do it, and that someone, an African American male, could do it and be that graceful. And he was just amazing. And thank God he's still with us today. We're not, he's still alive and well. But seeing people like Sidney Poitier in movies like A Raisin in the Sun and how many other movies has he done, it sort of said to me, oh, well, if he can do that, then I should be. And I was young then. I could be able to do that. So thank God I had, I stand on the shoulders of giants, and that those who came before gave me the example and gave me the license to say, you can dream.
And there's a lot of examples now.
Oh, please. Yes. Oh, please. Now it's like, but you do need someone who looks like you, who sort of recognize you, that you can say, well, they're doing it, so why can't I? So that was a big plus. And then, of course, seeing all the theater that I did in New York, seeing all the plays, sometimes with African-American actors, some Asian, all kinds of actors, sort of told me, wow, this could really be a career. This could really be. But it was that love, beginning that love of language that said to me, and even now I love when I get plays or scripts that have a lot of speeches. I really love language. It has its own musicality. It has its own score. It's like a score to an orchestral score. So to this day, and I've been lucky in that I've made. So then I moved out here after doing theater for years in New York. At one point, a lot of actors, directors, and writers were coming out to Los Angeles because the film industry was sort of beckoning us. They wanted to use writers. They wanted to use the actors from the East Coast. They wanted to use the directors from the East Coast. So I came out with like a flood of people from the East Coast, and I've been here ever since and loved it, and have absolutely loved it out here.
And the weather's great, huh?
Oh, please. I've done the New York winters, and while it was fun when I was a kid and I loved it, I don't ever want to do them again. Yeah, I went through some pretty harsh winters out here, but here it's sunshine almost year round. So who could beat the temperature out here? Who could beat it?
Now, as you know, a lot of people, they see the glory of like a Brad Pitt, of like a Blake Shelton, of like a Carrie Underwood, but they don't see the grind, the sacrifice, the tears, the struggles that it takes, not just to get to their level and your level, but even a career level within the entertainment industry. And I always want to talk about this side of it, because I think that when you listen to a lot of podcasts, they kind of never hit this side of it. They always talk about the gloriness. I like to talk about the grind, the greasiness.
Good, because there's a lot of it. I've almost left the business. I can't tell you how many times. I can't tell you how many times.
Tell us about that.
Oh, well, it was terrible. Sometimes you go and you're confident for an audition. You nail it. I mean, nail it. You walk out there feeling, oh, I got this. This is, Greg, what happened in there? That was so well. And then you never hear a word from it. You never hear a word. Oh, that happens. But they may have a different type in mind. Maybe they wrote the role out of the script. It's not you. So
sometimes you remind them of somebody.
That's right.
I've heard that one.
I've heard that.
And the tough part is that you don't know why. you know, you know how you felt, and you have confidence that was a good. Be brutally honest, because I've had some that were tepid. I've had some that were terrific. So when I don't get it, it's very rare actors hear why they didn't. Sometimes you'll see it on television or in features. Oh, that guy got it. Sometimes you may ask your manager or something. Could you ask the casting director? But you can't do that every project. So the tough part is not knowing, did I do something wrong? Did I say something? Did I have a wrong take on it? But it felt so good, and they were reacting to me in the room. They were reacting so positively. They laughed. They told me pretty much as I was leaving, "Thank you. That was wonderful. That was marvelous." And you never hear a word from them again. That can really undermine your ego and your confidence. That can really mess with you. It can. So the tough part is being able to take that. You've heard it a million times. It's a harsh word, but being able to take rejection. I like to think of it, they might pass on you for a myriad of reasons. Like you said, they know someone else who looks like you. They need a guy taller because the star is 6'5". So they need somebody who's at least 6 foot. No, they need someone who's at least 6 foot.
That makes sense. It does.
Oh, there's all sorts of reasons why you may not get, given that the acting was worthwhile.
And they probably can't tell you because they could be sued then on some issues.
They don't want you to know that the star of the lead is only 5'5", and so they're looking for people short. They don't want to talk. They don't want to verbalize that. So the tough part is so the challenge is keeping your confidence to go into the next one. That's saying, okay, I didn't get that one. Let me let it go. Let me cry. Let me put my fist through the wall. But how to stay healthy, how to stay positive. So the part of the act that's tough is staying positive, because there's a lot of good actors out here, Chris and Sandy. There's so many. There really are a lot of very, very fine actors, and you may be going up against them. But I like to think that what's mine is mine, and what's theirs is theirs. If it's meant for me, you go back to that universal kind of. If it's meant for me, I will get it. It will come my way. Yeah. So don't get thrown, don't get psyched. Just go in and do the best work you can. It sounds flimsy, but that's really the part that otherwise you'll be depressed all the time. You'll be depressed all the time. Oh my God, they don't like me. I'm no good. What should I be doing this? You can't carry on life like that. Life is so precious. You can't beat yourself up. Just accept, okay, I didn't get it. I'm cleaning it up now, because there was a time when I really mourned about it. I was like angry. How dare they? How could they? I don't know who they're going to get, but they won't be as good as me. I was a little bitter, but then I realized, there's more coming down the road. There's more coming down the pike, Greg. So don't worry about it. Just do your thing. But to be tenacious and that resilient, you have to be able to take a kind of, again, I won't say rejection, but they passed over you this time. Yeah. Doesn't mean they'll do it the next time. And then you start to build up credits. You start to get credits, and then you realize, oh, I've been here before. Oh, this is the time I've done 10 auditions. I didn't get anything. Okay. That happened to me in 2001. Oh, then you get used to the pattern that sometimes you will not get the job. You might not get the job for a number of things, but something will come along. And then sometimes the job drops in your lap. Sometimes a job will come out of nowhere. Oh, they want me to. Okay, fine. So if you want a steady gig,
it goes both ways.
You better get a 9 to 5. If you want something steady, you can predict and get a 9 to 5. But if you're going to be in the entertainment industry, just be ready for how things ebb and flow.
Because we're in the entertainment industry, so we get exactly what you're saying. Because you can ask Sandy. There's many times at night I'm like, I quit. I quit.
Oh yes,
that's it.
Yeah.
Is that right, Sandy?
I'm like, I'm going to just go delete.
That's
everything.
Right. That's right.
And she has to talk me off the ledge sometimes. And then there's other times where we're like, can you believe we were just offered that person to come on the show? Because there are moments where you pitch people and you never know why they say no, but they say no. And then there's other times where you pitch somebody and then they send you somebody that's even better instead.
See?
And we're like, and so you just never know. And it's like, it's been the grind has been so hard with this, because again, we've done over 400 interviews since January of last year. And it's like, you put in the work and you put in the work and you put in the work and now it's like, okay, we're used to this. We're doing this. Right. It's happening. You got people private message me who've been podcasting for 5 years, like asking, how are you getting so many hits?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think it's God, because it's God and our tenacity. That's I mean, again, because I just don't get. I don't take no. You know, unless you specifically say never email me again, you're
Right.
gonna see my first email I send every month.
And there's a strength in that. There's a strength in being able to come back and come back and come back. There is a strength in being able to keep the faith and come on back and come on back, because eventually it's going to turn your way. I believe in the half full rather than half empty glass.
Yeah.
Eventually,
you have to.
It's going to turn you away. But look, if you give up, if you took that first thing that you didn't get a response you wanted, and you say, okay, I'm gonna take my toys and go home now. Well, forget it, buddy. You're gonna miss out on it. But how wonderful is it when you do get that call saying, okay, 10 minutes. You've got 10 minutes with him or her or whatever you have. So, and I think that's a reward. That's a reward for being persistent and for keeping the faith. It is. So it's not for the faint of heart. It's not.
No,
for
it's
the faint
not.
of heart.
And this is really with any business, any profession, but especially with entertainment industry. I love to tell a story that, it's like you're pushing a boulder up a hill, big boulder.
That's a great analogy.
And you can't see the hill, the top. So you don't know where that top is. And if you try to look around the boulder will start going backwards because you'll lose that momentum that you already. So you can't see around. If you look back, you may lose the boulder.
That's right. Full speed ahead.
All you can do is just keep pushing and pushing.
Full speed ahead,
And that moment will come when you get to the top, and then you can jump on that boulder and ride it down to the next hill.
And as you say, you have enough experience by now to know one no or one that can't do it right now it only means let's try again later on down the line. That's all. Now you know. So I don't get the job from yesterday. Fine, let it go because there's more coming up. After a while, you get enough experience to recognize and realize, oh, this is just part of the game. Not everyone will be say yes. Not everyone will be recognized. I won't get cast in every feature or television show I go up on, but I will get what's mine. So that's a lesson for life. That really is a lesson.
Like we had a really good one recently where we got offered. Brian Luttrell from the Backstreet Boys came on. That was probably one of our highlights because that was really awesome to have him, his son, and and I'm just sitting and Sandy, when she was younger, had posters of him. It's like a surreal moment,
Weren't you lucky? Yeah, And I find entertainment people, they do want to share their stories. They do like to come on and talk and share their stories, and just with people like yourselves, just nice, easy. Because, after a while, we all want the same things, have a nurturing relationship, take care of our kids. I mean, come on, despite celebrity.
This is America.
Yeah, don't we all kind of want that same thing, to be able to provide for our families and to have a nurturing relationship? So it's nice when you can have these conversations with folks. And so, yeah, I'm an actor. I work a lot, but my values are still the same. I want to take care of my family, and I want to stay with my lovely wife, who we've been married about 25, 30 years now. So yeah, that's
congratulations.
Thank you.
And we've been 18 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
18 years.
That's good time. That's great. That's great.
Yeah, we waited a while before we started kids.
Yeah, we did too. No, we did too. Yeah, but I was too young. I mean, even when I was too young, I would not have been as attentive as father as I became when I got a little older. So it's okay. It's okay. It might be a little harder on my body, but
we understand.
That's like me I'm 49 and I got a 9-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Ooh,
yes.
Ooh, you better stay in good shape. Yeah.
But, they'll keep us young.
Emotionally, you're more ready to have children. That's what I find. Right. Emotionally, you mature. So if you have to give up an evening or something you had planned, you're not angry because these kids, I can't go. No, you've been there, done that, because you're a little older now. You've probably been there, you've done that. So now you sacrifice it. It's not even a sacrifice. You want to stay with your kids for whatever reason. So I think being an older parent actually has its advantages in that emotionally you're more mature to give them more of the attention and focus on your children. And if you were younger, where the focus is really about your own fulfillment and pleasure, when you're younger, it's all about me, but then when you have children, you realize, no, it's all about them. They're first and foremost. So absolutely. Congratulations. 18 years. That's great. That's great, guys.
So let's flip the script and go the other way. We talked a lot about sacrifice, and I always want to make sure I never forget that in our show.
That's important.
I think it's the most important thing with success at all. Let's go the other way, talk about the glory side now. What are a few moments where you're like, wow, that happened, or wow, I got to do that?
Sometimes I'll get offers for jobs and they just fall into my lap. I remember also sometimes when you attend premieres. Premieres is just so I had a premiere on Fridays, a film that's coming out next year, 2022. It's called 7th and Union, but we opened up on Friday, the LA Latin International Film Festival. It's made by a Latinx gentleman. And there's nothing like going to a premiere. You're on the red carpet, people asking you questions, they're firing off questions, they want to know, they're so sad. It feels like, oh, I kind of made it. It's great for the ego. It's great. And then if the film is good, if you're working it is good. And then people were so kind afterwards. It was an after party and they were coming up and they were just congratulating me and they were saying how much. It's really amazing how people will invest in a good story. It's almost like they will come up to you and say things. Oh, if it wasn't for you in that film, that story, and strangers, these are strangers.
Stories matter.
They do matter.
Stories matter.
They do. And Hollywood always needs a good story. They need a good story. So when the stories have moved and affected people, that's a real plus for me. I feel really positive that what I'm doing is it's an affirmation, because people I don't even know want to open up to say, yeah, I was like that guy, or my father was like that guy, or my brother was, or I went through that. Or when they share their stories, and there are people who actually share a little bit of their stories with you based on seeing you in a film in a pretend situation in a script, that's very moving. I take that very seriously, because they somehow invested enough in you, your work, and the story to go, yeah, I know this guy. I know these people. I know who these people are. These people are my family, or that's my dad, or that's my uncle, or that's me. So I always feel validated when I speak to fans and they tell me, not so much how much they like me, but the story affected them. It really had some sort of effect on them, and they remembered it and they want to talk about it. That means I'm doing it right. That means I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing it right. So that was always great. They could get premieres, the feedback you get, even when critics like you, that's a big plus. Critics like you. I mean, I try not to read reviews, but come on, who can stay away from them? So suddenly, when you're recognized, another big thing for me is when your peers like your work. So when there are other actors I admire and like, and they say something kind to you about your work, that's a big glory moment for me. When people I admire, who also are actors or writers or directors, say, that was a terrific performance. That really was, because these are your peers. These are ones who are in the industry like you. Mm-hmm. And when they're acknowledging they like your work, that's very special to me as well. That's very special to me. So those, I've had more glory moments than I've had, I don't know if there's such a word, unglory moments, but I've had far more glory moments. I've gotten much more than I deserve in feeling that I've had much more affirmation and validation in this career. And that's why I keep doing it. As long as I keep getting hired, I keep moving people with stories. I'm determined, if my health holds out, if the health holds out and everything, I'm going to keep doing it.
It's like recently we had one of the big anchors in Savannah. We are friends with on Facebook and stuff, and friends in person too. But she recently reached out privately. She's retired now, but she said, "I love what y'all are doing with your show." So she's one of them that she's been in TV and all that for basically all her life. And for someone like that to say that, it just made us feel.
It's so valid. They validate you. They validate the work that you do. Because listen, not everybody can do this work. Not everyone has the personality or even the desire to do it. So when someone of your peers say, "Hey, that's a good show. You guys really are coming along." Come on, who doesn't like a compliment to just tell you that what you're doing is worthwhile. I enjoy what you do. We all need that. And so when I get that, I feel good about what I'm doing. Good for you guys too.
Well, thanks. Oh, thank you.
So let's talk about the 7th and Union.
Oh, yes.
Tell us a little bit about the plot of that.
Well, we shot it last year. I say because we were one of the first films to get authorization to shoot, because we were under COVID then. Oh, COVID had hit in March, pretty much of 2020. So when I read for it, when they offered the role to me, I thought, there's no way they're going to shoot that. We're supposed to start shooting in 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm like, right. Because COVID was going on. This is the early days. And I was like, there's no way my union is going to let SAG.
Because nobody's figured out how to do it yet.
To navigate around.
But they figured it out. SAG, my union, said, yes, you guys can start shooting. And I was like, oh my, okay. So that was a gas that we were able to shoot. There were strict protocols and procedures that we followed, of course, to keep everyone safe. We had a COVID officer with us at all ways to remind you to keep 6 feet distance or put your mask on. But
and you had to do the horrible tests every day.
Oh my God, I tested. So I am the most tested man in America, because the studios. Listen, one person gets infected, it shuts everything down.
It does.
So it does. It will, just for safety's sake, it will shut everything down. So I can't even go on a set usually now until you get a test, and then you get tested every day. You're on the set every day. So, but it keeps people safe. So I put up with. I understand it. I go, okay, this is for
part of your job
good.
now.
Yeah,
It's greater good, and Hollywood has to test because we get close to each other. You know, we hold each other. So there are things that we don't want to. This is a pandemic, folks. This is not like the flu. This is not like every summer or every winter we get the flu. No, this is a global pandemic. So sometimes I just have to remind myself of the people who perished as a result of it. Okay, just go test. Go ahead and take the test. But it's a beautiful story of these two men, totally different. One's a Mexican ex-boxer. I'm African American, obviously ex-boxer. I'm older. And they sort of come together and form this bond. And as a way, they sort of what's the word? They sort of they give each other hope again. So here's this ex-boxer Mexican who moved to the States to try and give his family more opportunities. It's not going very well for him. I'm an ex-boxer, older guy who sort of, my world is unraveling, have a horrible relationship with my daughter that I wish it was better. My first wife and I are estranged from each other. Somehow these strangers come together, black and brown, these strangers come together and they sort of redeem. There's redemption in each other. They find the will from what each other is saying to each other to go on and take one more shot at it. One more chance. The boxing sequences are amazing. I got to tell you, my co-star Omar Chaparro, who's a Mexican superstar, he trained for months to get in the ring because that's tough. I mean, we're doing it over and over and over again. But he trained for months. I played the trainer. I played his trainer. He encourages him. Not me. No, he doesn't get to me now. I passed the fight part, but no gloves for me. But I'm his trainer. So he trained for months. So you're going to love the fight scenes. But I would like to think the boxing is just a backdrop. It's really about these two men from very different backgrounds, ethnicities, who come together and redeem each other's lives. It wasn't intended to, but they come together and they redeem each other's life. It's a real feel-good story by the end of it, that these two guys could do that for each other. And again, to have a black and brown lead, different ethnicities, different age generations. I'm older than Omar, and to come together. So it's a feel-good story. It really is a feel-good story about sometimes if you get believing in someone else that you don't even know, but you take a chance on, can pay off big time. It's called 7th and Union, wonderful boxing film. We opened a festival last Friday, the LA Latin International Film Festival. Will be released next year. I had a great time playing this really wretched older guy who's I'm bitter. I missed my chance. I'm bitter. I missed my chances. I have a horrible relationship with my family. And then I meet this kid, and something about this kid makes me think, I could work with this kid. I could make this kid. And in working with him, of course, I helped myself. That's the thing is, I help myself find what my values are again, because I've lost them. I got lost, as many have happened. So,
and that's what America needs to see, because all this Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, we need to squash that, because we all need each other. I mean, I've got friends that are every race, every creed, every politics, every religion. And one thing I've learned is we all, like you said at the beginning, we all really do have the same desires and dreams and goals. We all do. We have way more in common than we don't.
So, oh my God, Chris, that's so true. And right. And seeing stories like this does help affirm, they don't have to be at each other's necks because one's Mexican and the other's African American. In fact, they find ways to overcome that. They find ways to overcome what could be a barrier. Because we all have the same human values. Again, wanting to take care of our families, wanting to advance, wanting to do meaningful work. Who doesn't want that? So to forget all the stuff that gets in the way, let's find the things that bond us, and that maybe we can help each other. And I think it's a great reminder of that in this film, 7th and Union. And boxing is the way they it's just like I said, the backdrop to the friendship between these two that form, this bond that perform. So I really love doing the movie. I really love doing it. I love working with Omar and the director, Tony Nardolillo. And I can't wait for it to be released next year. It was a pleasure. In the midst of COVID, here we are. Okay, that's a cut. Put your mask on. That's literally what it was. So you can say, okay, that's a cut. Put the mask on. Walk away. And we put the mask on.
Now that the vaccines are out and a lot of people have got them, has that has that been calmed down some on sets
Yeah,
now?
more projects are being greenlit. People are also we just know more about the disease now too. We just know more about the virus. So because remember at one point we thought you could get it from touching a doorknob or
Yes, I remember that.
I mean in those early
There's
days
so much mixed signals out there.
Yes,
yeah, we didn't know because we hadn't faced it. I mean, this is the first time in 100 years that we've had. I think 1918 was the Spanish flu they called it. That's the last case of a global pandemic. So we didn't know enough. So yeah, the fear, the anxiety level, and the vaccines have definitely brought down the anxiety level. I still am cautious around people I don't know whether they've had the vaccine or not. I try and mingle with people who I know have been vaccinated, but it's a lot different than those early days where you were literally looking over your shoulder when you went outside, wondering someone coughed, you sort of hit the deck. It was like, we were pretty anxious. And all we know that people were dying. People were dying, and it was horrible. But no, Hollywood is coming back bit by bit. Now they've got a system that you can show ways to shoot that everyone can remain safe, which is the most important thing. A film is nice, a TV show is nice, but hey, coming home at the end of the workday to family and not sicking them or yourself is the most important.
And everybody kept telling it would be a 1 month thing. We already knew it wouldn't be because Sandy did some research back then on pandemics.
About pandemics,
and every pandemic was about 2 years.
Wow. You knew.
So we're like, again, next year will be 2 years. So we're right in line with the Spanish flu one.
That's right. That killed so many people. Sure. In those early days, it was horrible. We knew so little about it. But thank God we're all getting back to a little bit of normalcy now in the way we how to treat it. I'm assuming you folks have been vaccinated or
we have.
Yeah, so and now being outside. So life is
I'll admit I wanted 100 million people to get vaccinated before I would.
Well, shit. Well, that's okay. That's okay.
That's kind of how it worked out, but
hanging back a little bit.
Now.
Well, one thing it did, though, it made me appreciate things. I have to tell you, it made me appreciate things a lot more in terms of. I even rekindled some friendships I had with people, not because we fell out or had arguments. It's just that life is so busy. You think you don't have the time, but I rekindled some friendships. I was home. I was like, oh, I wonder how Charlie is doing. Let me send a text, and they will always responded, and it was always, hey. How are you doing? How's it? How old is she now? Oh my! So it taught me to really don't sweat the small stuff, guys. Don't sweat the small stuff.
So what's been the difference that you've seen since you've been in Hollywood for a long time and in showbiz, from back when you started to now?
So it's been a lot of difference. One thing is just in terms of streaming and cable. I mean, when I started, the major stations were on television.
Look at what Joe said. He wanted to be first on his block.
Oh, to get the vaccine. That's smart.
Yeah. Laugh out loud. Sure. Oh, I was dying for the vaccine. I also wanted it too. But back then, the major stations were CBS, NBC, ABC. There was no such thing as cable. And now, oh my God, you throw a stone and there's another Netflix show or HBO show or Disney Plus show, or I can go on and on and on and on. I mean, we have much more content now. There's much more content. There's stations upon stations have shows that they do. So there's a much larger range. The technology has changed. It's not as difficult to make a good movie anymore. I mean, maybe it is difficult, a good movie, but before everything had to be on film. But now you have cameras, digital cameras that look just as good, if not better, than using film stock. So that's different. So the average person could actually shoot something that would be decent. So it's far more available to everybody, is far more available. And also what I've seen increase, thank God, particularly after 2020, is the diversity in it still needs to go along.
That's a good thing.
But the inclusivity, I mean, there's a real push now among all areas of our nation now to embrace diversity. I mean, EDI, education, diversity, and inclusion. There's a real, and you see it in the casting choices now, where there's LGBTQ or more women, more people of color. There's a real focus now on let's vary these stories because they're just as interesting. So that's changed.
I got a crazy story for you on that.
What was that?
A few months ago, when we were just really getting video going.
Oh, that's right. That's about what end of the year.
I reached out to one of the actresses, and she emails me back and says, I can't do your show because it's not diverse enough. And now my first thought was that shouldn't be the question she should ask. The question she should ask is, why is it not? Because first, we started our show as a country music show.
Right. That's
so,
the roots of the show.
So that was the roots of the show.
Yeah.
Right.
The second was, I told her all this. I emailed her. She actually emailed me back. First time I ever had a celebrity that actually apologized to me, saying, "Okay, she overstepped their bounds." She said, "But I was like, it's not that I have. The question should be, why are they not on?" And I could then say, look, it's not that we haven't tried, because we've reached out to 200, 300, 400 minority PR companies for minorities.
Yeah,
we always get turned down.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't have a diverse show if they say no.
I understand.
But all of a sudden, in the last 2 months, it's funny, since she said that, all kinds of people are like, bringing people on our show, and like you, and we're like, okay, now if she would look at our show, it would be totally different.
Yeah, there really is a lot of soul searching going on, and ways to actually approach it now. I mean, I know corporations are hiring. There is such a thing as the EDI counselors who go into corporations and work with education, diversity, and inclusion. How can I make my company more diverse? Let's go through a checklist. So let's devise a plan that we can be more inclusive. Maybe we didn't think of it before, or some thought they had and we're doing it, but it really, they didn't go far enough.
Yeah.
It had to go further. So there is a soul searching going on in America in terms of, let's embrace things we hadn't embraced before and open up a lot more. And that's good for the industry. It's good for our society. It's good for our democracy. I mean, the more everyone is included, that's the way it works. And see, for real, everyone asks me that, I see it. I tell you, of a career that spanned over 30 years, I cannot tell you how many. Yes, I did some of Grand Theft Auto 5. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Which I found out has been like, it's been like look, the people who do it know it far more than I do, but it's sold like millions and millions. It's a bit, and it was only a voiceover. You didn't see me. It was my voice, but
just your voice.
I get asked that question. I mean, there are a lot of fans of Grand Theft Auto, and Grand Theft Auto number 5. Apparently, again, I'm not as knowledgeable.
Yeah,
Grand Theft Auto 5, broke the records in so many ways. So yes, I was a Grand Theft Auto 5. And yes, I'm a real actor now. I have, but I'm always delighted when they say, because you just go on to the next project. You do one and you move on to the next one. Hopefully, you had a good time and it went well. So when I started getting these reports about Grand Theft Auto 5, why are people asking me about? But they kept. Why are they asking me about Grand Theft Auto? And then finally, someone tutored me and said, "Greg, you don't realize." And they went and told me the statistics about Grand Theft Auto, how it did as a game, what it brought,
And you were like,
that's why I keep asking me, because I was like, why do they keep asking me about that project among? So I was definitely innocent. I was an innocent when it came to that. So when I saw that question, I had to smile, because I go, sooner or later, some people are timid about it, like, were you in Grand Theft Auto 5? And I go, yeah, I'm proud of it. I'm now
right.
that's
I
know.
We know.
I understand.
So tell us about True Blood.
Yeah,
True Blood was a lot of fun. I mean, Alan Ball, who wrote True Blood, he was a playwright. He's a screenwriter. Created this. It's from a series of novels, and that he created these characters. And what a gas that was! I mean, we had vampires, we had wizards, we had werewolves, we had. Every supernatural creature you can think of lived in this town, Bonetown, Louisiana, which was fictitious, but they all lived in this town. So I was cast. I was so angry at that. I wasn't angry. I was so disappointed. I wanted to be like a werewolf. I wanted to be like something cool. I was a minister. I was the Reverend Daniels was his name, but I wanted to be a shapeshifter. I wanted to be a Maynard. I wanted to be something cool. But what a world! I mean, to come to work every day and see people with fangs and blood all over the floor and fake blood. It was just it was a wild world with some terrific Anna Paquin, Bill Moyers. I mean, they had some terrific people on the show, and I did it for about a couple of seasons, and I still love it. It was just the most outrageous thing you could think of was to come to work on this lot, and you get. But like I said, I was a minister, so my wife got bitten. She became a vampire for a while too. So lots of fun, just really imaginative, just to make the vampire thing like sexy. It also was one of the few shows that I saw that made vampires sexy. When I grew up, Dracula and Bela Lugosi, vampires, spoke with an Eastern European accent, if that,
right.
and they had pale faces and they had that. But my God, in True Blood, they were gorgeous. We never missed a chance to take one of the guys' shirts off because they were buff. So you had all these good-looking, gorgeous vampires on the show, and I really enjoyed that. Unfortunately, I wasn't one of them, but but I did my work in trying to reconcile and bring the town together, even though we had vampires. So that was a terrifically imaginative and unique series that I think they will reboot it. I hear they're going to reboot it. Not that I'm involved in it, but I hear they're going to. Because that was a good maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago. So they're going to HBO is amazing. I've done a few things for HBO. I worked on Insecure this season. That show on HBO, this is the final season. That was a lot of fun. I have to sing HBO praises. They really do come up with imaginative shows like Game of Thrones. That's HBO. They really take their time. It's almost like shooting a movie when you're working on a television show from HBO. That's how much time and care I think they take. We felt so taken care of and so supported when we were shooting True Blood. So, again, my next one now is Insecure. That this is our final season. This is season number 5. So that's been a lot of fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
So as you know, a lot of people, they see you as the actor, but they don't see the teams behind the actors. And to us, they never get the love they deserve.
No, they don't.
So take a few moments just to tell us about your team.
My team?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I have a manager whom I adore. I have agents this team of mine, I mean, they're not just responsible for getting me a job, but trying to move my career along. So I have a manager, I have a publicist, I have commercial agents, I have they believe in me. The thing is, they believe, and even when I'm not booking or something didn't go my way, it doesn't change. In fact, I spoke to my manager last night. It was just like something we wanted that we thought we'd get, we didn't get, whatever. But just someone saying, hey, you're out here, you're doing it. They remind you how lucky you are. But they work really hard. They work really hard to make sure they find projects for you, that at least you get seen for it. And talking about people behind the scenes, without my manager, my publicist, my agents, without them, I mean, I'd be lost in the shuffle. Because listen, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of actors out here. They really are. Thousands. And some of them are very, very, very good. So sometimes what differentiates you is your manager saying, I should make a call on Gregg's behalf because I know this Paramount's doing this film. Let me call and see if I can interest them in Gregg and bringing him in for an audition. Because I don't get the auditions for myself. I can't line them up. That's something I have to leave for people to do. And then there are roles that I won't do. When I started out, of course, I was doing much smaller roles. But then you get to a point where you go, no, we want Gregg to do something much more. So to the planning, they are a team. I'm like the CEO of this company of people who work on my behalf to make sure that I'm getting seen for the right product and the type of projects that would move my career ahead and not just keep me doing the same thing.
And see, we always want to make sure the team gets recognized on our show because people don't realize that without the teams, whether you're an actor or an artist, without those teams from the PR people to the managers, you can't do what you do.
You cannot. I could not. Like I said, Chris and Sandy, I don't get these auditions for myself. I don't know what's coming down the pike. I don't know what's in the store. They do. They're paid to suss it out. And sometimes even against type, what we want a 6'5" actor who's whatever. Sometimes they'll call and go, that role is, I know the actor for that role. He's not 6'5", but you should see him anyway. I mean, to pitch.
So they convince them.
You should see him anyway, because we read the script, and we have an actor with us, Gregg Daniel. Man, you should see him. Listen, to take my advice, if I'm wrong, Ching, I love pitching for you. They are on your side. They're like, I call them my junkyard dogs. They're like a junkyard dog, man. They're out there guarding that thing and making sure that the right people get in and the wrong people stay out.
No, exactly.
And also, and they know my family is really important to me. There are times I have to turn it down because I say, because my daughter just graduated. I just say, I want to be there for her graduation. So I don't want anything around this time. But to understand that there are moments in life that, listen, a film or television is just not as important. It's just not. Being there for my daughter's this, or my child's this. So I say, I know that works during that time out of town. I don't want to be out of town that week because this is happening in the family. To understand that I'm not just an actor person, but I'm a father. I'm a husband. And I have to give first priority to my family. So if I'm not doing it to be difficult, I'm just saying, I have to be in Dallas during this week. No, this is not a good week. And they'll go, Greg, yeah, I understand. In fact, they'll even admire, I've had agents admire, we admire the way you always put your family first. We'll go back and tell them you're available the week after, but you're not available that week. So thank you, Chris, for shouting out to the team, because without them, I wouldn't have had the time I've had in this business.
And speaking of teams, we have a third co-host, our 9-year-old.
Who's that?
So Sandy's gonna go get him. And we have a 2-year-old daughter that when she gets older, she'll be plugged into the show too. So we are a family affair.
And that's, family comes first, man. Family, as anyone will tell you that has one, is family is everything. I mean, they're the ones that are on your side. They're the ones you see grow, and you'll sacrifice everything for. So you have a 9 and a 2. Wow. You're working hard, dude. You're working hard, dude.
And trying to build from scratch a show at the same time.
As an older father, enjoy it because they grow fast. Hey, what's happening, guy? What's your name?
My name's Christopher.
Hey, Christopher. I'm Greg. It's nice to meet you.
Hi, Greg. So, what's your favorite food?
What's the food I like?
What's your favorite food?
I think what's my favorite food? Probably fried chicken. I'm sorry, I have to say it. I know, but
that's a good one.
A good plate of fried chicken is like, what's your favorite food, Christopher?
Mine is pizza, and that's what I'm having tonight at the Bible school thing.
And what do you put on it? What do you put on your pizza? Just cheese or anything else?
Pepperoni, sausage, and I like supreme.
Woo, Christopher, you're my kind of guy. I love that on a pizza. And plus, my daughter, she was a big pepperoni. If I got her pizza, she had to have pepperoni on it. Well, great.
Yeah, I think I'm having pepperoni tonight.
Probably so.
Yeah.
I see. He looked at his mom like, yeah, we're going to.
Yeah.
Enjoy your pepperoni pizza, sir. And how old are you? You're
9.
How old are you, Christopher?
I'm 9.
You're 9. Wow. You're getting up there, guy.
Yes. Okay. So what's your favorite TV show?
What's my favorite TV? God, there's so many of them. What have I watched in the? I'm going to come up with one. It just went for me. I just can't. Tell me yours. Well, I think of mine. Tell me yours.
Mine is SpongeBob.
Years I watched SpongeBob. My daughter loves SpongeBob. I watched him a lot.
And you know what's been cool is because he watches a lot of the Disney and Nickelodeon shows. We've been to bring a lot of people that he sees on the shows onto our show.
I did some. I did. Oh God, what was it? It's 2 names I can't remember, but I did I've done like three. I've done like 3 Disney shows. I really like Disney.
Wow.
Was there one called Kicking It, or something like that? A show called Kicking It, and there was another. Yeah, that I did. I had such a great time doing it too. So I like Disney shows. I like those shows a lot. Someone said I don't mind it, but the grease is too much for me at 44 sometimes. I understand. That's why I was kind of guilty when I said that fried chicken thing. Well, let's say for the arteries, it's not as good. They're not as good.
Yeah.
Well, you make sure you enjoy your pizza tonight, sir.
All right. So, what's his favorite movie?
Last question.
I got a lot of favorite movies. I'm a big fan of the Avengers. Big fan of the Avengers. Have you seen the Avengers yet?
I haven't, but I heard of it.
I'm a big fan of the Avengers because I used to read the comic books when I was your age. I grew up reading all about the Fantastic Four, about Iron Man. Those are all from the comic book. So when they became a movie, I watched those. I like the Avengers a lot. What's your favorite movie? Mine
is the Minions movie.
Oh, okay. This is a well-read guy right here, huh? He sees everything.
Caitlin, our 2-year-old, loves the Minions. She loves the little Minions. If we could be walking in the mall, if there's a Minion stuff thing and we got to go in there.
We got to go in there. She finds it. Yeah, my daughter was the same way. Certain shows she loved. She loves certain shows, but that's part of the fun. That's part of the fun.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So, bye. Thanks.
Hey, you take care. Nice meeting you, Christopher.
That's interesting.
You take care.
He was laughing because of shirt. Because we got this is green screen, so we sometimes forget that blue and green shirts don't work right. He's like,
he's wearing the blue-green shirt today. So
he's a cutie. He's a charmer. That one. He's a charmer. That one. That's great, you guys. I'm so glad to bring him on the show too because he gets to meet people, and that's wonderful. That he gets to see what mom and dad are doing
He loves it.
Yeah, he gets a front
I'm like, he don't know how good he has it right now because I wish my parents would done this.
Oh, me too.
Sure. Yeah. There were no actors in my family either. So wow, it's I'm so lucky. I feel so blessed that I got to do it and make a living at it because I don't come from a background of people who were all performing artists or anything like that. So this is a real treat. This is a real treat for me to have this kind of life. Is a real treat for me.
Yes, I'll get in a couple questions here. So, what would be your dream role, dream character to play?
Wow, that's a good one. You know, they're doing a reboot of this Marvel comic book series I would love to do. You guys ever heard of Blade? There was
I've heard of it.
Blade, and I think Mahershala Ali is doing. Wesley Snipes did it years ago.
Oh yes, I remember.
Wesley Snipes was Blade, the comic book character, and now I hear Mahershala Ali. They're rebooting that to do it again. But I love the Blade comic book series, love it. And then when they made the movies out of it, I love those too. So I say Blade. I want to do Blade. I want to be in Blade.
Awesome. And what would you like your legacy to be? What would you like to be known and remembered for?
Yeah, it may sound corny, but I was a kind and generous person. Really, I was kind and generous. Forget everything else. Is that, well, he was kind. He tried to help people along the way, and then he was generous. Awesome. And if I could share, there could be no better legacy, no honorable legacy that along the way I was kind and generous, and I taught my kid how to be the same way. That's the legacy I truly would love to have.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's say you had a friend of yours and you watch them act, and they've done a couple shows, maybe had like one line, but they just know that this is what they're supposed to do. What advice would you give that actor or actress to kind of help guide them in this craziness?
Keep studying. I mean, acting is a craft. I mean, it really is a craft. To learn how to act is a craft. So I don't know how far your studies have gotten you, but make sure you go back to a studio every now and then and work on material and try things out. I mean, musicians, dancers, they continually practice to stay at the top of their game. So actors, I think, have to practice. Do theater. To go on stage and do theater. That's really a big test because every night the audience is different. The responses you get are different. I mean, that's really putting yourself on the line. So I say do theater, but also when you have a chance to do scene study or monologue work, study your craft because that will separate you from everyone else in terms of, I know what I'm doing. I know how to do this. So I say put more work into studying your craft. Know what you're doing.
I have 3 more quick questions and then we'll let you get out of here. Yeah. So what's been your hardest role to play?
What's been the toughest? You know, usually someone without hope.
Oh, wow.
You know, is always the toughest. That's the toughest one. Actually, the last one I did, 7th and Union, because this guy, he was estranged from his family.
The beginning was probably hard.
It was, because, you know, this guy's... There was no hope. There's really no hope. And I'm such a positive or try and stay positive person. It's hard to play someone who has reached like their life is unraveling. That's difficult. You find it in yourself, but I'd say those kind of characters who are down and out, it's great playing them because the flip happens when they redeem themselves. But approaching a character that's just either evil, actually evil's fun to play. I'll take that back. Not evil, but just down and out, has no hope.
Yeah.
Those are tough characters to play.
What's been your most fun?
I'd say probably lawyers and ministers because the language thing. Usually the language is
speaking.
The poetry and even the technical stuff. I eat that stuff up. I love language, so I don't mind getting a page of a speech if I'm lucky enough to, because I know how to work my way through it. It's like a musician going through a score. You know, oh, this is Beethoven. Oh, they just gave me a Mozart etude. Oh, good, because now I can really work my way around it. So I would say those lawyers. I get a lot of lawyers. I get ministers a lot too. I would say I really enjoyed those roles the most. Yeah.
So what's next as we end here?
Well, I direct. I'm a stage director. So I'm going to start a production in late August. It's of a Pulitzer Prize winning playwright. His name is August Wilson. He's no longer with us. He died quite early, 64 years old. He wrote 10 plays. That's a cycle. It's called the Century Cycle. So I'm doing one of the 10 plays at this theater out here. And I can't wait, because actually my directing makes my acting even better. Because the directing, you have to be able to verbalize things to actors that is good advice for me. So my
Yes.
next project is just a few weeks from now. We'll be going to rehearsal. It's called 7 Guitars by August Wilson, and I go into rehearsal in a couple of weeks. I'm really excited about that.
I love that.
Awesome.
So tell everybody how they can find you.
Oh, I have media handles which I never remember, but I have written down. On Instagram, I am official Gregg Daniel, and you have to spell my name Gregg. If you cheat one of those G's, it's not going to come to me. So official Gregg Daniel, that's Twitter. That's Instagram. I'm sorry. On Twitter is @real REAL @real Gregg Daniel, and finally on Facebook is @Actor Gregg Daniel. And I will get all of those. And I love to hear from people who've attended this program, who have heard me, who've seen my work. I'd love to hear from you. So that's official Gregg Daniel, @real Gregg Daniel, and @Actor Gregg Daniel. That's it.
But we really enjoyed having you on the show today, and we look forward to having you back down the road.
Tell Christopher too, I enjoyed meeting him. I hope his pizza's super good tonight, because he was ready for that pepperoni. I'm telling you. He said pepperoni, boys.
Pepperoni pizza.
Oh, my daughter wouldn't eat pizza unless they had pepperoni on it, so I can relate. So please tell him it was a pleasure, and it was a pleasure meeting you too.
Same
here.
Yeah,
we love
enjoyed it.
Good luck on the move too. Good luck on the move.
Oh,
we appreciate that.
Yeah, have a
We're
safe
excited.
Yeah,
Nashville, here we go. In fact, we're going
get ready
on June 29th to July 6th. We're going to be in Nashville.
Yes, week-long vacation.
It's a great town. It's a great town. So I think you guys will do well anywhere, but I think you'll have a particular great time in Nashville.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Good luck, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Take care. God bless.